to vote to amend the Constitution. And in sports, Ohio softball played a doubleheader earlier today. Find out how they did. Newswatch starts right now.
I'm Delaney Ruth, and welcome to Newswatch, your source for news impacting southeastern Ohio. Ohio Governor Mike DeWine is supporting legislation that bans the use of handheld wireless devices while driving a car. The bipartisan bill addresses a variety of actions, including writing, sending, or looking at texts, watching or recording photos or videos. The bill that was announced on Thursday would make an electronic device while driving a primary offense. A primary offense means that police do not need another reason to pull drivers over first. Right now, distracted driving is only a secondary offense in the state. The only exception to the law is a phone to place an emergency call.
That means that today in Ohio, law enforcement can see a driver texting or emailing. But unless that driver commits another offense, such as speeding or running a red light, that officer can do absolutely nothing.
This isn't the first bill to crack down on texting while driving that's been introduced in this General Assembly. A similar bill, sponsored by Democrats, was introduced last month in the Ohio House and has had its first hearing. The bipartisan bill has widespread support from insurance companies, safety groups, and families who have lost someone they love to distracted driving. A student in Akron learned the consequences of texting and driving firsthand this week. A University of Akron student was sentenced Thursday for hitting and killing a 93-year-old World War II veteran while she was on her phone and driving. Emily Mungo pleaded guilty to a vehicular homicide charge and a texting charge. Mungo was sentenced to 60 days of house arrest and had her license suspended for 2 years. She will still be able to continue to attend classes. In January of 2019, she struck and killed Benjamin Franklin Joyner, who was 93 years old. The Kentucky Court of Appeals says county jails can continue to charge inmates for the cost of imprisonment even after they are acquitted or charges are dropped. The case comes out of Clark County by David Jones, who was jailed for 14 months. The jail billed Jones more than $4,000 for his stay. Jones's attorney, Greg Besley, says this practice runs afoul of state law. The Clark County case could have ramifications for every county jail in Kentucky. The appeals court upheld a lower court's ruling, which allows jailers to charge booking and housing fees. The jails are also allowed to keep the money even if the charges are dismissed or the inmate is found not guilty.
Hello, I'm forecaster Adlai Carwish, and right now in Athens it is 35 degrees. Humidity is at 79%. It feels like 29 degrees, so it's a little bit colder than it is usual. And we'll take a look right now at southeastern Ohio. We seem to be at 35 degrees in Athens, 36 in Chillicothe, 33 in Columbus, 38 in Ripley, and 34 in New Lexington. Tonight we're going to see 18 degrees. Humidity at 75%. Snow flurries are possible. Winds coming from the west-northwest at 10 to 15 miles per hour. So it's going to be a pretty cold night. If you do plan on going out, seeing friends, going out for dinner, be sure you do bring a heavy coat because it is going to be quite cold outside. And Delaney, it's definitely going to be a colder night, but the weekend is definitely looking a little bit warmer today. Looking a little bit warmer this weekend.
That's always a good sign. I mean, who doesn't like the warmth, right?
Yeah. We're going to head up into the 40s, which is so much better than 18 degrees. So
that's true. Thanks so much, Adlai.
No problem.
The water system is slowly getting back to normal in Pike County, Kentucky, after the weather-related train derailment we first told you about yesterday. The train reportedly hit a mudslide, causing 6 cars to derail and leak fuel into a portion of the Big Sandy River. Officials say they shut down intakes before any contamination could cause bigger problems, but now they have to recover the wreckage. The spokesperson for the Kentucky Division of Water, John MURA, says we are trying to figure out how to safely get the engine and train cars out of the water safely, so no more product gets into the water. He also said homes around the area were temporarily evacuated, but there was no danger, so the residents were able to return. The 2 employees who were rescued from the train were treated and released from the hospital. A West Virginia bridge has reopened after at least 9 runaway barges floated down the Ohio River last night. The Pomeroy Mason Bridge was closed down until 3 this morning after crews finished inspecting potential damage. All the barges have been collected 9 miles away from where they broke loose. It is unclear how the barges got loose, but heavy rain had led to high water on the Ohio River in recent days. 4 Nelsonville residents were arrested yesterday in association with a drug ring. Tiffany Flowers, Justin Warren, Michael Miller, and Jacob Smith were taken in after a, quote, lengthy investigation into drug dealers and traffickers in the area. The sheriff office reported that its major crimes unit conducted a search warrant. They found suspected methamphetamine, digital scales, a handgun, and over $350,000 in cash. The handgun found at the scene had been reported stolen in Athens County. The teacher caught on video dragging a young student with autism will not go to jail. Because Trina Abrams pled guilty to assault, she'll serve 120 days of home confinement as part of a 2-year probation sentence. Abrams taught at Wortland Elementary in Greenup of October 2018 when school video footage captured her dragging a 9-year-old boy by his wrist through the halls of the school. The boy's mother says she and their son are moving forward and the sentence was fair. A Michigan-based health system and its insurer argue they aren't responsible for the costs of an Ohio doctor's defense. The Ohio doctor is facing murder charges in the death of 25 hospital patients. This week, lawyers for Trinity Health Corporation and their insurer argue William Hustle's lawsuit against them over his legal costs should be dismissed. They claim the liability policy at issue does not cover criminal charges. Hustle is accused of ordering excessive painkillers for patients in the Columbus Mount Carmel Health System area. He pleaded not guilty and states he was caring for dying patients, not meaning to kill them. Coming up, Attorney General William Barr is facing criticism after re-examining a case, seemingly at the president's request. And the House is considering extending the deadline for Equal Rights Amendment. These stories and more when Newswatch returns.
I'm Jeff Bezos.
What is your claim to fame?
I'm the founder of Amazon.com.
Is Amazon taking over the world a good thing?
What Jeff Bezos is after is a company that is the infrastructure, that owns the infrastructure, and that's an incredibly powerful place to be.
People are asking if Amazon is a monopoly.
How did you and Jeff think about the call to break you guys up?
Simply because the company's been successful doesn't mean it's somehow too big.
We believe in dinosaurs. We believe dinosaurs and man lived at the same time. This is a fossil created during Noah's flood.
The whole point of this is to teach people that these biblical events were real history that actually happened.
A life-size Noah's Ark in Kentucky.
We want 7 billion people to come here.
Creationists have been pretty vocal. They're going to build new museums, and they're really going to try hard to leverage everything they can.
We believe in dinosaurs.
We badger people, ferret out the enemy, weasel out of things. Members of the weasel family are often portrayed as villains. But do they deserve this reputation? Now, with groundbreaking science.
It's as though you have an animal in liquid form.
And by following the wild stoat family, we'll step into the world of weasels.
Cats.
Cats lead fantastic double lives. They disappear for hours, and we don't know where they go.
How did they go from wild animal to furry friend?
We can use the mitochondrial clock to figure out their age in evolutionary time.
And can neuroscience explain why they're so irresistible?
These sounds are plugging straight into our emotions.
Cattails on Nova.
Attorney General William Barr says the Department of Justice is still free to operate without political influence. That's even though sources say Barr is ordering the re-examination of several high-profile cases. As CNN's Boris Sanchez reports, the reviews could benefit President Trump and his former associates.
Thank you, Mr.
Fresh off a denial he can be influenced by the president, Attorney General William Barr facing new scrutiny today after sources say he secretly ordered a re-examination of Michael Flynn's case, seeking no jail time for Trump's former national security advisor who pleaded guilty to lying to the FBI about his ties to Russia.
The president has never asked me to do anything in a criminal case. I cannot do my job here at the department with a constant background commentary that undercuts me.
Trump today throwing Barr's words back at him, claiming he does have the right to intervene in DOJ investigations, tweeting, quote, "This doesn't mean that I do not have, as president, the legal right to do so. I do, but I have so far chosen not to." While sources say Barr has voiced his frustrations to Trump in private multiple times, officials telling CNN Trump did not know Barr would go public. Press Secretary Stephanie Grisham now insisting Trump wasn't bothered by Barr's comments, as Trump's Republican allies say the president should listen.
I have confidence in Bill Barr. I think he's doing a good job, and I think he's told the president this is not helpful, making it difficult for him to do his job. I think the president ought to listen to him.
Meantime, Trump eagerly awaiting findings from another investigation launched by Bill Barr into the U.S. intelligence agency's handling of Russian meddling in the 2016 election.
I have President Putin. He just said it's not Russia. I will say this, I don't see any reason why it would be.
Despite a consensus among the entire intelligence community that Vladimir Putin launched a covert effort to undermine the 2016 election, the New York Times reporting today Special Investigator John Durham is looking into unfounded deep state conspiracy theories touted by Trump and some of his allies that U.S. intelligence agencies framed Russia. Sources say Durham is even investigating former CIA head John Brennan, who says the whole thing is...
Well, I think it's kind of silly. I'm certainly willing to talk to Mr. Durham or anybody else who has any questions about what we did during this period of time in 2016.
The New York Times first reported on the re-examination of the cases. It's unclear how many cases are under review and what they entail. An official says U.S. Attorney Jeffrey Jensen of St. Louis is overseeing the process. The House of Representatives voted on Thursday to provide states more time to ratify the Equal Rights Amendment. The resolution to eliminate a deadline for approving the amendment passed by a vote of 232 to 183. 5 Republicans joined Democrats in support. Supporters hoped the move will inject new life into the decades-long fight over whether it should be added to the Constitution. The Equal Rights Amendment would ban discrimination on the basis of sex and guarantee equality for women. Congress originally passed the proposed constitutional amendment in the 1970s. 38 states are required to ratify constitutional amendments. That threshold was reached last month when Virginia became the 38th state to ratify the ERA amendment.
97 years we've been trying to get this in the Constitution of the United States, starting with Alice Paul. It's a vote for the American dream, to be on the same footing as everyone else in order to pursue our great potential.
Opponents say the deadline of 1982 has long since been passed and the process needs to start over again. Even Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg believes that it has been too long and a new effort is needed. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell has given no indication that the Senate would take up the resolution. Today marks 2 years since the shooting at Majority Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida. 17 people were killed, 14 students and 3 staff members, when a gunman stormed the campus on February 14, 2018. The shooter, Nicholas Cruz, was 19 at the time. He confessed to the killing and faces the death penalty. If convicted, many of the students who survived have become gun control advocates. Florida's governor has ordered all flags to be flown at half-staff Friday in remembrance of the victims. Schools in Broward County will be released early to allow students, teachers, and staffs to be with their families and friends. A moment of silence will be held at schools in South Florida at 10:17 Friday morning. The school shooting actually began at 2:20 on the tragic day, but school officials chose 10:17 because students will be dismissed early. 10:17 was also selected to denote the 17 victims who were killed. People are focusing on the coronavirus when the flu is a more pressing danger. That story is still ahead.
And it's been really cold outside right now, but the weekend's looking much warmer. Next on Newswatch. But first, here's your stats of local interest.
I'm Jeff Bezos.
What is your claim to fame?
I'm the founder of Amazon.com.
Is Amazon taking over the world a good thing?
What Jeff Bezos is after is a company that is the infrastructure, that owns the infrastructure, and that's an incredibly powerful place to be.
People are asking if Amazon is a monopoly.
How do you and Jeff think about the call to break you guys up?
Simply because the company's been successful doesn't mean it's somehow too big.
I grew up with this. I know this salt's flavor. I didn't know that Portuguese, Brazil, and Cape Verde had such a big imprint in Boston. And the food really preserves the stories between these three communities. But this is such a fun way of eating. You have sausage, chicken, pineapple. Always have one extra seat because there might be hungry sweet Ethiopian coming by.
No passport required. On expedition.
I've come to Bhutan.
You just have no idea what's going to be around the next corner.
To kayak a river that's never been paddled before.
It's a deep gorge. We don't know what's in there.
There's no doubt that this one is the one that scares me the most. Oh, I'm in big trouble. We've paddled into paradise. No one else will ever get to do that for the first time. There are still wild, exciting places out there left to explore.
We believe in dinosaurs. We believe dinosaurs and man lived at the same time. This is a fossil created during Noah's flood.
The whole point of this is to teach people that these biblical events were real history that actually happened.
A life-size Noah's Ark in Kentucky.
We want 7 billion people to come here.
Creationists have been pretty vocal. They're going to build new museums, and they're really going to try hard to leverage everything they can.
We believe in dinosaurs.
Hello, I'm forecaster Adelaide Carwish, and right now in Athens, Ohio, it is 35 degrees with humidity at 79%. It feels like 29 degrees. Winds coming from the west at 5 to 10 miles per hour. If you take a look right now in southeastern Ohio, you see Columbus at 33, New Lexington at 34, Chillicothe at 36, and Jackson at 35. It seems to be a little bit colder than usual, so it hasn't been too bad. We'll take a look at the U.S. temp map. You can see it's definitely really cold in this area, and it's that the cold's going to move down, and then it's honestly going to move back up for the weekend, which is going to be big for this time of the year. So taking a look at tonight, 18 degrees, humidity at 75%, snow flurries are possible, winds coming from the west-northwest at 10 to 15 miles per hour. So it's going to be quite a cold night. If you do plan on going out, be sure to bring a coat just in case, because it is going to be really cold. Winds coming from the west-northwest at 10 to 15 miles per hour. So, moving forward to tonight, you take all the way Columbus at 15, Chillicothe at 18, Ripley at 22, New Lexington at 16, and Ironton at 20. So it's definitely going to be moving forward here. You're going to see here that there is a flood warning in Ironton. It started earlier this morning at 7 a.m. and it ends February 16th at 2:30 in the morning. Be sure to watch out for all those delays and everything. Be sure to watch out for those roads because they could be flooded. Be sure to check that out. Take a look at tomorrow. You're going to see it's going to rise up at 8 a.m. It's going to start at 19 degrees, and by 4 p.m. it's going to be 25 degrees, so it shouldn't be too bad. Feels like 16 degrees by noon tomorrow. Take a look right now at Athens, 25 degrees. It's going to be pretty cold outside. Definitely something to be worried about. It shouldn't be too bad. It should warm up just a little bit more throughout the day. That's going to be not too bad. Take a look tomorrow throughout southeastern Ohio. Columbus at 21, Chillicothe at 23, Jackson at 26. So it shouldn't be too bad. Take a look at the precip maps for tomorrow. You see that high pressure system. It's going to move in throughout the area tomorrow. So it shouldn't be too bad throughout the day. That isn't that big of a deal. You're trying to take a look at Saturday morning as well. So tomorrow morning, you're going to take that high pressure is going to move along throughout the time. You'll take a look at your 7-day outlook here. 25 degrees tomorrow, and that weekend's actually looking pretty good. 42 and 44 on Saturday and Sunday. So it's definitely going to warm up as the week moves on, and the rain should be coming next week. And the weekend should be nice, warming up a little bit, even with some clouds, but it should be nice.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that 55-degree weather next week. It looks pretty nice.
Yeah, it is. There might be a little bit of rain, but it will be nice.
Well, thanks so much, Adlai.
No problem.
Health concerns in America. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says that thousands of Americans have died from the flu this season. Meanwhile, the continued spread of the coronavirus is still a major concern for the U.S. and around the world. Daryl Forges has the latest numbers and more details.
Flu season continues to be a problem throughout the United States. The CDC says there's been at least 26 million cases of the flu this season, which started on September 29th of 2019. Of those cases, at least 14,000 have died, including 92 children. As the flu concerns continue, so do the concerns for the coronavirus. CDC Director Dr. Robert Redfield says the coronavirus could be around past this year.
I think this virus is probably with us beyond this season or beyond this year, and I think eventually the virus will find a foothold and we will get community-based transmission.
Right now, the CDC is investigating more than 400 people for the virus. 15 people have tested positive so far.
We've had a very aggressive approach to try to do early case identification and then isolation and contact tracing. That's enabled us to contain this at this point.
Back on January 6th, the CDC offered to send experts to China for help. The Chinese government did not accept or respond to the offer. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Secretary Alex Azar is urging the Chinese government to allow the CDC or the World Health Organization to have boots on the ground in China.
It will not serve a purpose if the WHO team goes and is just confined to a conference room and handed sanitized data.
In Atlanta, I'm Daryl Forges reporting.
I'm Paul Roth, and tonight in sports, we'll recap the Ohio softball team's doubleheader from today. Plus, the Ohio women's basketball team will be up in Oxford tomorrow for their first Battle of the Bricks this season. That and more when Newswatch returns. Plus, here's a look at what's coming up tonight on your public television station.
Cats.
Cats lead fantastic double lives. They disappear for hours, and we don't know where they go.
How did they go from wild animal to furry friend?
We can use the mitochondrial clock to figure out their age in evolutionary time.
And can neuroscience explain why they're so irresistible?
These sounds are plugging straight into our emotions.
Cattails on Nova.
On expedition. I've come to Bhutan.
You just have no idea what's going to be around the next corner.
To kayak a river that's never been paddled before.
It's a deep gorge. We don't know what's in there.
There's no doubt that this one is the one that scares me the most. Oh, I'm in big trouble. We've paddled into paradise. No one else will ever get to do that for the first time. There are still wild, exciting places out there left to explore.
From PBS, explore our culture through stories of food,
delicious,
family, and tradition. With a new season of No Passport Required.
Food's a path to culture, identity, and history.
And the premieres of Somewhere South.
I can smell that you've been cooking. This is delicious.
And Good Gumbo.
It's a secret recipe. I'm not going to pull it out of you. I know your mom would probably kill me, huh?
Discover what connects us all and so much more on PBS and the PBS Video app.
I grew up with this. I know this salt's flavor. I didn't know that the Portuguese, Brazil, and Cape Verde had such a big imprint in Boston. And the food really preserves the stories between these three communities. But this is such a fun way of eating. You have sausage, chicken, pineapple. Always have one extra seat because there might be hungry, sweet Ethiopian coming by.
No Passport Required.
Welcome back. I'm Paul Roth. Now, Ohio softball just wrapping up a doubleheader in Tennessee a little bit ago. Now, it didn't go too well for the Bobcats in Chattanooga. However, they started off the morning getting blown out by Western Kentucky 13-4 thanks to a 7-run 7th inning. And then just a couple hours ago, lost a Valentine's Day heartbreaker to Lipscomb 4-3, giving up all 4 runs in the final 2 frames. The Bobcats are now 0-7 on the year. Now, Ohio baseball lucky enough to be down south this weekend, kicking off their season and avoiding all of this crummy weather we have up here. Now, they have a 4-game series against North Alabama in a battle of a couple jungle cats. Game 1 is going on right now with the Bobcats leading the Lions 3-1 through 5 innings. Eamon Horwedel was sharp on the mound, striking out 7 before being pulled. Now, the Bobcats will play the Lions twice tomorrow and once again on Sunday. Ohio track and field back in action this weekend. They're actually up at Kent State running right now in the Doug Raymond National Qualifier. Now, that's still going on, so no finishes to report just yet. But based on last week's meet in Marshall, there's a lot to look forward to this weekend. Ashley Cottrell has been spectacular all season long. She finished her first in the 600-meter last weekend, and Abby Moore took first in both weight throw and shot put. The Ohio women's basketball team is back on the hardwood tomorrow night after a well-deserved week off. They'll be up in Oxford to take on rival Miami for the first time this season in the Battle of the Bricks. Now, tough season for the Red Hawks so far at just 4-8 in the conference after they finished second in the MAC East last season. But Ohio guard Amani Brooks says they're not treating it any differently than their matchups last season.
I wouldn't say there's anything significantly different. I think they still are going to give us some problems because they have Dickerson and Klusner, and we just have to prepare to play their game. It's going to be like them two against us.
Now, the men's team also in action tomorrow. They'll be at Kent State to see the Golden Flashes for the first time this season. Now, the Flashes haven't been stellar in MAC play this season, but they are ahead of the Bobcats by 2 games at the moment. The Bobcats have won their last 2 matchups, and their defense has looked stellar in those contests. Much of that has to do with the play of freshman Miles Brown, who has stepped up after seeing his minutes increase.
He's playing at a really good level for us right now, taking some pressure off of Jay Preston from minute standpoint, ball handling standpoint. He's another guy who can break you down off a ball screen, get in the paint. And defensively, he's been, probably he and London have been our 2 best on-the-ball defenders.
But if that's not enough basketball for your weekend, the NBA All-Star festivities are kicking off tonight, and it's sure to be a fun weekend in the Windy City. First, the Rising Stars Challenge tonight at 9 with what is some of the flashiest rosters the game has seen in years with guys like Zion Williamson, Ja Morant, and Luka Doncic. Then my favorite part of the weekend comes Saturday night with the high-flying dunk contest. And of course, it's all capped off Sunday with the 69th NBA All-Star Game. But overall, a lot of sports coming up for the weekend, Delaney, and it should be a fun one.
Well, thanks so much, Paul. It looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. A dog that was missing for 3 years will be getting a lot of love on Valentine's Day. Wrangler, a 3-year-old Great Pyrenees, took off from Bush Intercontinental Airport Friday to be reunited with his owner. The dog was found living in deplorable conditions in Spring, Texas 3 weeks ago. There were 200 other animals, but Wrangler was the only one with a microchip. And that chip identified his owner, a U.S. Air Force airman serving in Spokane, Washington. Ryland Brown says a friend gave Wrangler away after he left for basic training, and eventually he gave up looking for his pet.
And welcome back, everyone. Tonight in Athens, 15 degrees, snow flurries is possible. It's a heavy coat night. Make sure you bring that heavy coat if you do go out. Take a look at your 7-day outlook here. Saturday, 43 degrees, a low of 33. Sunday's even looking even better with a high of 45 degrees with a low of just 28. Monday, that's when it starts to get a little bit better too. 46 degrees with a low of 43. By Tuesday, that's when the rain unfortunately starts to come in. 50 degrees. And Delaney, I'll send it back to you.
Thanks, Adley. And that does it for our broadcast this evening. Thanks for watching. I'm Delaney Ruth. Stay tuned for the PBS NewsHour coming up next. And remember, you can find the latest news anytime at WOUB.org. Have a great night.